Hi everybody, TJ Mac Vintage Cards, and today I'm going to show a few recent pickups and just how they fit into my collection. And the first here is Elwin Preacher Road. It's shown on his 1951 Bowman card. And Rowe got the nickname Preacher. It said there's a couple different accounts, but the most common one I saw was he used to ride around town in a carriage with a preacher and his wife, who were not his parents. And just something that he did as a child. And when he was asked by his uncle, "What's your name?" and he was just a little boy at the time, he shouted out "Preacher," and the name just happened to stick. And he was one of those interesting pitchers that made you think about what could have been. He had a cup of coffee in the majors in 1938 at the age of 22 when he pitched in a game against the Cardinals. And then he languished in the minors for 5 years as a talented pitcher who had control issues. And it was Hall of Fame player Frankie Frisch, who managed the Cardinals when Rowe played in 1938, who was now managing the Pirates in 1944. He made a deal to acquire Rowe. And he put together 2 good seasons against weakened wartime competition, even making the All-Star game in 1945 and leading the league in strikeouts with 148. Now, it was during the offseason in 1946, he was coaching a boys' basketball game when he got into a heated argument with a referee who slugged him. Rowe hit his head on the hardwood and fractured his skull. Rowe struggled over the 46 and 47 seasons as he dealt with headaches and dizzy spells. He went 7-23 with an ERA over 5. But it was Branch Rickey who believed there was still something left in him, and he made a deal to bring him to the Dodgers. Now, Rowe had recovered his health by this point, but not his fastball. It was after the head injury, he said he could not throw hard only but for a few times a game. He remade himself at this point to a control pitcher who relied on changing speeds, among other things. And it was one day during spring training in the Dominican Republic that manager Leo DeRocher warmed up his new pitcher on the sidelines. Now, as one of Rowe's tosses got away from him, the manager shouted, "What's that?" Rowe replied, "Just a slider." DeRocher knew better. Rowe had decided it was time to break out the spitball that he learned in the minors. And it was catcher Roy Campanella who told him not to bother with a sign for the pitch. Campy had caught plenty of spitters in the Negro Leagues and knew one when he saw it coming. To load up on the baseball, Rowe reached up to his cap and he spat on the meat of his hand. Then he tugged at his belt and transferred the moisture to his fingertips. When opponents caught on, he went through the same motions and had another pitch. The fake spitter. Batters expecting the pitch would be surprised by a mediocre fastball. At age 32, Rowe found his calling with the Dodgers. In 7 seasons, he was 93-37 with a 3.26 ERA, including his great 51 season where he was 22-3 with a 3.04 ERA. Now, it was Stan Musial, and I'll bring his card out. This is a 59 Topps of his. And he was the guy that was said to have the most success against Rowe, hitting 12 home runs. And he said he always tried to avoid getting 2 strikes because he knew that's when he would see the spitter. And teammates called the pitch the beech nut curve after Rowe's favorite brand of chewing gum. When a hitter complained and the umpire asked for the ball, Rowe would roll it to the plate. Or if the umpire ordered Campanella to hand over the ball, Campy would drop it and step on it to erase the evidence. And Campy called Rowe the best pitcher that he ever caught. And Rowe finished his career with 127 wins, 84 losses, and a 3.43 ERA. And when I say what could have been is he really didn't have any real success until he was 32 years old in the majors. Imagine if that had started sooner. And after his retirement, Rowe admitted to Sports Illustrated in 1955 that he threw a spitball. Now, some sports writers called him a cheater. Rowe was paid $2,000 for the story. He said he did it because he wanted to see the spitter legalized. And Commissioner Ford Frick and the American League president Joe Cronin agreed with him, but baseball's rules committee did not. So that's the story of Preacher Rowe. Again, a card that I'm excited to add to my collection. Nice story behind him. Beautiful looking card, as you can see here in the Brooklyn Dodgers white jersey. And these Bowman cards, you can find the photos of the original photos of the cards online, and then they would just paint over the image of the photo when they released the cards. So just a wonderful card to add, and just has, again, a nice story that goes along with it. Now, if you watch my videos, you know how much I like the 1961 baseball season and just the history behind it. Not only the Maris and Mantle home run chase, but also it was a year of expansion, just a lot of wonderful seasons had by players. And one of those guys that had a great season in 61 was Veda Pinson. And the Reds had gone to the World Series that year where they lost to the Yankees in 5 games. But I thought it would be a good idea to acquire a Pinson card to add him with my Frank Robinson in my 61 collection. And I really like this card because it was his best season as a pro, I think. And what I like about this card is it's got that vintage Reds uniform here, and you can see him holding the bat over his head, which isn't a real common image taken by Topps at those times and printed onto the cards. And Pinson in 61 batted .343. He led the National League with 208 hits. And Frank Robinson that year led the National League with a .611 slugging average, 37 home runs, and 124 RBIs. And just these guys were the best of friends. They roomed together on the road, and it was just said that they really just clicked and did a lot of things together. So really cool to add them. I just think those are 2 great cards that go together. Just beyond them being on the same team, they just had a lot of similarities. Very quiet guys that just went out and did their job each day. And I just have a lot of respect for that. And these cards just look so nice side by side. It was also in 1961 that Frank Robinson won the MVP award, and Pinson finished 3rd. And I believe 2nd place was Orlando Cepeda. So just 2 classic cards here, and they do look great displayed. Now here's the November 1952 issue of Sport Magazine from my father-in-law's childhood collection. And one of the players on here, I've shown this magazine in the past. I have the Allie Reynolds card that I showed it with in another video. You also got Jackie Robinson. And the other player on the bottom, there's Harry Gaines. And then to the right is Doak Walker. And I picked up a card of his recently, this 1950 Bowman. And this is a set that I've been adding quite a few cards to my collection from. And this one I didn't have. It's a pretty expensive card. It can be. It's a #1 card in the set. And I decided to get it in a BVG holder because I found an example that I really liked in the grade that I liked, because just building my collection at a certain grade, or condition, probably a better way of saying it. And this was one that fits right in. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Doak Walker. Now, he was a running back both in college and in the pros, and he just had a fantastic college career. He started at Southern Methodist University, and he won the 1948 Heisman Trophy. ESPN ranked him the 4th best college player ever in 2007. And since 1990, the Doak Walker Award is given to the nation's best running back. And I found on the back of this card, it was a really nice just little commentary on him. It says, and I'll just read it to you, he comes into pro football with a brilliant collegiate record for Southern Methodist. He won many awards. In the Rice-SMU game, October 15, 1949, he was knocked unconscious when tackled out of bounds. He was removed from the field. When the contest was finished, Doak entered the Rice dressing room and congratulated the player on his fine game. So I thought that was a great example of sportsmanship and just really falls in line with everything I've ever read about Doak Walker. And he was not only a great college player, he was also a Hall of Fame professional player. He played with the Lions from 1950 to 1955. Where he was a 4-time first-team All-Pro and 5-time Pro Bowler. He was a gifted runner, receiver, and he was also a kicker who led the league in scoring in 1950 and 1955. That wasn't uncommon then for kickers or for players to be that versatile. And the Lions won the championships in 52 and 53 when he played for them. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1986, and it was his teammate, which I just love this card. This card's on display in my card room right now, this Bobby Lane. One of my favorite football cards that I own, just because I love the colors on it and just the posed picture there with him flipping the ball. And he had said Doak was the greatest clutch player he ever saw. He said, "I tell you, if we were ahead 28-0 or something, you might not notice Doak on the field. But if it was a close game, everybody knew he was there, and he would be the difference. So another wonderful card here, just rich in history kind of player that he was. Put these 3 cards together, and you can just see such nice examples of photography here with the full body shot on the Preacher Row, and then again Pinson with the bat over his head, and then you have this super image here of the ball coming in on Doak Walker, and he's jumping up to catch it. Really, for the time, that's a really cool photograph, I think. And just love these 3 cards, and they're just going to fit right into my collection. They're going to look great displayed as well. So everybody, thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a great weekend.